Throwback Thursday. We're blessed to be joined again by Xavier Scruggs of ESPN and the MLB Network for some throwback stories, plus Locked On Yankees back in the house for some throwback Blue Jays Yankee stories.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, friends. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays. Yes, indeed, I am Locked On Toronto Blue Jays. I am thankful that you're spending part of your day talking Toronto Blue Jay baseball with me. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe. You know the call to action, the subscribe, the like, the comment, all that good stuff. Definitely the comment. Want to hear from you. Want to be able to interact with you in this 2023 season for sure. Same as on any social media that you're following the Locked On Blue Jay podcast. Absolutely, comments, interaction, very, very, very welcome. For those of you already doing that, I see you, and I'm enjoying interacting with you, and I appreciate you. And for those of you who are becoming everydayers, making the Locked On Blue Jay podcast your first podcast listen every day, thank you so much for that. Helping the podcast grow. Thank you so much for that, as we're all taking in the 2023 Toronto Blue Jay season together. What we hope is a very special, 2023 Toronto Blue Jay season together. But for now on Throwback Thursday, let's get into some more of our conversation with ESPN and MLB Network analyst Xavier Scruggs. We're having a lot of fun with some throwback conversations with Xavier Scruggs. Craig Ballard, Locked On Blue Jays, Throwback Thursday. Had so much fun talking with Xavier Scruggs about baseball throughout the week. Had to have him back for Throwback Thursday. Xavier, welcome back to the Locked On Blue Jays podcast. And Xavier, if I throw out a date to you, let's see if you have any sort of initial reaction here. If I were to say June 28th, 2015, anything come to mind for you, sir?
June 28th, 2015.
So you played parts of 3 seasons on the big league level, that, of course, being one of them.
Yeah, June 28th. That wouldn't be my first home run. That's too early in the 15 season.
You're right about that. Now, spoiler alert, I do want to touch on your first home run in a moment here, but now you're part of the Sunday Night Baseball crew. Now, This was a Sunday Night Baseball game called by Dan Shulman. Now, Xavier, as a side note, we're very fortunate in Toronto. Dan Shulman calls the game for the Blue. We are very fortunate.
One of the best, for sure.
Yeah, we are so fortunate here. So, June 28, 2015 .
Stolen base.
Well done, sir. Well done, Xavier.
Well
done. The stolen base you had in your career at the big league level. Well done. It was a Sunday night baseball game. You were on that was Cubs Cardinals. So what a rivalry at St. Louis. Xavier, where did you come from? Memphis? Were you called up from recently? Is that where it was?
Called up from Memphis. Yes.
And you were on Fuego. I don't know if you remember the week you had prior to that. I looked into it. You're like 8 for 16. You come up in this game against Jason Hamill of the Cubs. You were 6 for 8 in that series against the hated Cubs. Like you were high on the hog. You were living life. Now, second inning, 0-0 game, 2 out. Yadi Molina takes the first pitch he sees and smokes it for a double. Now here comes Scruggs. Now, Scruggs is hot at the time, as we said now. You take the second pitch, you get an RBI base hit, and Dan Shulman, the GOAT, says Scruggs continues to deliver for the Cardinals, and the St. Louis has the lead. Like, just awesome to hear Shulman shout you out like that.
It really is.
Now, John Jay is the next batter, and I mention him here as part of this story, Xavier, because I want to get your insight on this. Now, John Jay was he might have been an underrated player. He did a lot of hitting for St. Louis in his day, and at this time that he was coming off that 2014 playoffs where he was a hitting machine.
Right.
He was coming back from injury and was really scuffling. Now, this is a perennial 300 hitter, really scuffling. You're at first base. It's 0-1, it's 0-2 to it ends up being 1-2 to John Jay, and then you end up stealing the base. So I'm dying to know what you remember about that, because I'm wondering, Xavier, was that sort of a teammate thing in there? Like, hey, this guy's scuffling right now. We've got 2 outs. I just got a big hit to take the lead. Even if I get thrown out trying to steal, John Jay will get a brand new count, fresh count, next. So it's worth the gamble. Was that in play, or no? You know what? I just saw something on Jason Hamill. I knew I could steal this base.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was honestly, it was an offseason in which I really worked on my speed a lot. I was eager to use it not only in AAA but at the big league level as well. And at that point, you mentioned how well I was going offensively. I wanted to show every part of my game. Like, I wanted to, if I'm going to be here, let's give them a reason why I should stay here. So use that as an opportunity. Also, I think as players, you understand when somebody's struggling a little bit and you want to get into scoring position for that player so they have an opportunity to just, I don't have to do too much, maybe a base hit to the right side or to the opposite field. and do that. So there was an opportunity for that we saw a little bit of both. That you mentioned. Hey, credit to you for digging, man. That's some good. Hey, that's good stuff, man. I like that a lot.
Xavier, do you remember who the catcher was?
I'm seeing his face, but I'm not remembering who. You're gonna have to tell me.
Well, the only reason I'm even bringing it up was Miguel Montero, and there's
Montero.
actually a Blue Jay connection there, believe it or not. He would actually play about 32 games, I think it was 30-something games with the Jays in 2017. So actually a Blue Jay connection there too. Yeah.
That's right. Gotta love the Blue Jay connections, man.
All right. And well, speaking of Blue Jays connections, Xavier, on this Throwback Thursday, let's keep it rolling then, because yes, you said, that's too early for my first home run. That was too early. Your first home run would come in August of the next season when you were with the Miami Marlins.
Right.
Now, that was against Chad Kuhl, who's still in the league. He's hurt right now, but he's still in the league in Washington. He was a rookie with Pittsburgh at that point. So it's the fourth inning. It's 1-0 for you guys, for the Marlins. And I mentioned on the previous one you had legend Yadi Molina hitting in front of you. Well, in this particular story, for crying out loud, it's Ichiro hitting. Hold on, did you only hit behind? Do you only protect the goats? Is that what your role was? Holy moly!
That was the role. That was the role.
Jeez. Not only does Ichiro get a 2-out double to give you that at bat there, but it's his 3,008th. I don't know if you remember that. It's his 3,008th hit. It actually passes Ty Cobb for number 28th all time. Like, it was actually a historic hit.
I think I do remember seeing something pop up, but like at the time, and we talked about this on the podcast, is that like you so locked in on your job as a player a lot of times, it's like you almost forget what is happening with somebody else. And then, but I do remember something had popped up, I believe, on the scoreboard saying that he had passed somebody. But Ty Cobb, man, that's unreal.
Yeah, is that a bit of an accomplishment? And by the way, Ichiro didn't even start his career in Major League. Anyway, we could go on about Ichiro for a while. My gosh. But then here comes Xavier to the plate now. 0-1 pitch. And Xavier, I got to say, I thought it was a good pitch by Cole. It was right at the bottom of the strike zone, almost on the inside. Like, that was a good. I have no idea how you got down and got that bad hit.
Good pitch, just a better swing. Just a
there
better
you go.
swing.
Okay. Enough said. What do you remember about that at bat? That round? Do you even remember rounding the bases, for crying out loud? Like, that must have just been incredible.
Yeah, I was in cloud nine. Honestly, like I don't even remember feeling myself. It's when guys say it's an out of body experience, it really is. Like that's the best way to describe it, because you don't feel like yourself actually moving. It's almost like you're dreaming. And to think about like how long you've thought about hitting a home run. And me, I'm someone that hit like home runs all the time in the minor leagues. And then when I got to the big leagues, I couldn't hit a home run. So finally, when I hit it, it was like, such a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. You're right. Ichiro was on second. I came around third base. Lenny Harris at third, all-time pinch hit leader, dapped him up, and then gave Ichiro the two-handed slam. And then I came in the dugout. Don Mattingly, obviously the manager, but Barry Bonds was the hitting coach. Gave me the biggest hug in the world. Like, think about hitting a home run, my first home run, and getting an embrace from Barry Bonds. Like, it don't get any better than that.
I'm disappointed in myself, Xavier, that I didn't put together that was Don Mattingly. He's with the Blue Jays now, so I'm disappointed in myself on
Blue
that.
Jay connections, baby.
Yeah. Well, and listen, how about more Blue Jay connections here? That was two-time Blue Jay David Phelps, who started for the Marlins that game and threw an absolute gem.
Yep.
Adini Hechavarria played in that game. Now, he was a Blue Jay at one time, right? He was part of that big swap with the Marlins that brought over Mark Burley and Jose Reyes. And so all kinds of Blue Jay connections. And finally on Throwback Thursday X, dealer's choice. Any memory you have, because you played with those former Blue Jays. You were teammates with Dustin McGowan, a former Blue Jay. You were teammates with Jojo Reyes, a former Blue Jay. You were teammates with Randall Grichich, a former Now, you were teammates with Grichich before he was a Blue Jay, but still some Blue Jay connection there. Yeah. And Edwin Jackson as well. Now, I'm pretty sure Edwin Jackson only pitched with the Jays so that he could, pitch with every team on earth. So I don't know about that one. But of all these ex-Jays we've mentioned there, Xavier, what do you remember about dealer's choice? What do you remember about any of these guys?
Really, Randall Grichuk sticks out a lot to me, just because we came up together we played together in AAA and lived together in AAA. Oh, wow. And he's somebody, the reason why he sticks out to me, because we were going through struggles at the same time, right? Trying to get to the major leagues. And yes, seeing him get to the major leagues with the Cardinals and playing with him with the Cardinals is great. But seeing him with the Blue Jays was different, because it was like, okay, he's starting to excel. He got the contract with the Blue Jays as well. So seeing him get to a whole nother level within his career with the Blue Jays was really cool for me. It was almost like, just as proud as I would be for myself, just because we went through a lot of the same struggles. We were trying to figure it out together. We had those conversations late at night. That was a lot of what that was. So, and another thing too, I continue to go back and think about, I mentioned this during the podcast, Kevin Kiermaier, and having conversations with him. I never played with him, but it really told me how special it is of a place. And Kevin Kiermaier played well at Rogers Center, but it told me how special of a place it is when he said, like, he wanted to be there because of the fan base, because of the city and all of those things that I never really got to experience, but it gives me urgency to want to go there and really check it out. Because I've been to most of the stadiums, haven't been to Rogers Center.
Well, we can't wait to have you here. Xavier, earlier on Locked On Blue Jays, you gave the good people your information on how to follow you, but let's re-rack that in case they missed that, because you're such an enjoyable follow. So let's absolutely get that information in the hands of the good people.
No, I appreciate that. Xavier Scruggs on Instagram, Xavier_Scruggs on Twitter, YouTube. You can find me on TikTok as well. I'm on MLB Network, 4 p.m. Eastern most of the time on Off Base. And then on ESPN on Sunday Night Baseball, right before the game, we have a pregame show called Baseball Tonight. So make sure you come through there if you can. But please hit me up whenever. I love talking baseball. Love talking all things, man. This has been special, man. This has been one of the coolest interviews or Throwback Thursdays I've ever had.
Dear Diary. I'm clipping that one. Okay, wow. Well, thank you so much for your time, Xavier. Really.
No, thank you for having me.
Coming up on Locked On Blue Jays Throwback Thursday, Locked On Yankees back in the house for some throwback Blue Jays Yankee stories. And reminder, you can catch tonight's Blue Jays Yankees series finale on Sirius XM. New sponsor I want to talk about here, Bird Dog, soft, stretchy pants and shorts. I've got 2 Bird Dog shorts, and I can tell you that a few things that I really like about them. The fit, I'm always going to mention the fit because I feel like I look really good. I feel like I look better in these shorts than my other shorts. Comfort. Stretchy fabric makes my legs look great, and they're comfier than my other shorts. Have already become top in the rotation of my shorts. And by the way, side note, thank goodness we're having short weather back in the house again, right? Yes, indeed. And how about the versatility? Bird Dog shorts and pants give the freedom to wear one pair of shorts or their pants on the golf course, to a meeting, to a date, hanging out with friends. I mean, you name it. Comfortable, and they look great. I like the colors available as well. I'll say that. So go to birddogs.com/lockedon. When you enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, that's birddogs.com/LOCKEDONMLB. And when you enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Can I show you? I've got mine. Throwback Thursday. Had to get Stace from Locked On Yankees back in the mix because I always love the crossover conversations anyway, but especially on Throwback Thursday when we take it back to it's always dealer's choice, right? Whatever Throwback Thursday memory the either host wants to bring, and it's always a lot of fun. Stacey, this is not a women's first. This is a smarter baseball analyst first scenario. So you are up.
Okay. I'm taking it back to 2015, which turned out to be a really good year for the Blue Jays. But this particular game,
I like where this is going. So, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this particular game wasn't that good for the Blue Jays.
Oh.
It was August 14th, 2015. David Price was the starter. He pitched really well. He held the Yankees to 1 run he made it into the 8th inning, if I recall correctly, and they took him out.
Is this at Yankee Stadium or Rogers Center?
Rogers Center.
Not Rogers Center. Okay.
Yep. And the Yankees pinch hit Carlos Beltran, who hit a 3-run home run.
Okay.
To put the Yankees up 4-3. So, and that was the top of the 8th.
Yeah.
Moved to the bottom of the 9th. Troy Tulowitzki against Andrew Miller. It's the last at bat of the game. It turned into the last at bat of the game. And Andrew Miller is throwing slider after slider after slider after slider, and Tulowitzki's fouling them all off.
Nasty slider after nasty slider, by the way. Yes.
Yeah. And Miller finally gets him on a slider to end the game, but it felt like a playoff game. And
Amazing.
In mid-August, on a random day, it wasn't like any sort of, it was a big matchup just because you're getting into August and you're getting into the pennant run and the run for the division. And as a Yankee fan, it was frustrating because it was like, oh, David Price shutting them down again and this and that. And then Beltran hits that home run. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I remember they showed David Price's reaction in the dugout and he was just staring like, I can't believe they took me out. I can't believe they took me out. And that at bat against Tulowitzki, Andrew Miller, even like kind of, if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm throwing my arms in the air because he basically was like, oh my God, thank God I finally got that at bat over with. But it felt like one of those at bats that, as a Yankee fan, I wouldn't have liked Troy Tulowitzki to hit something and tie the game. But it was such a good at bat, like both ends. They weren't easy pitches to foul off. I mean, Andrew Miller, 6'8", coming at you with those long arms and long legs and throwing those pitches that are diving to the outside of the plate. And Tulowitzki is just like hacking at them and hitting them. It was unbelievable.
You had me petrified at Andrew Miller. He killed us with Cleveland in the playoffs as well. He killed the Blue Jays with he was outstanding in his day. And you know what's funny? You mentioned the date, August 14, 2015. So the Blue Jays win in 92 and 93. They don't make the playoffs again until 2015. During that stretch, they're the longest playoff drought in North American sports. So every NHL team, every NBA team, every baseball team, every football team, all the fan bases saw the playoffs except the Toronto Blue Jays. During that season, you say August 14th, let's do the math, Stacey. That's 2 weeks after the trade deadline. That's when the Blue Jays brought in Tulo. That's when the Blue Jays brought in David Price. Mm-hmm. The country, the fan base was on absolute fires. That atmosphere for an August 14th game, I could see why you're saying it was a playoff atmosphere. The place was going absolutely ballistic.
Yep.
I remember that. I wish I could remember the cheer, but that was when that cheer, they had a cheer for Tulo, like da, 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 Tulo. It was something like that. And it was born in that at bat. People started doing it pitch after pitch after pitch. And as you're saying, Stacey, they got a lot of chance to do it. He kept fouling off nasty pitch after nasty pitch.
Yeah, it was
That's
crazy.
A great memory. Wow.
Yeah.
For mine, I'm going back further than that. I'm in the drive for 85. That's the first season the Toronto Blue Jays make the playoffs. And coming into the last series of the season, last 3 games of the season, the Yankees are in town. The Blue Jays it's the Yankees in second place, and the Blue Jays need to win one of these 3 to make the playoffs. And you'll remember, Stace, not that you're old enough to remember, but your baseball knowledge, will remember. These are the days when there was an American League East, American League West, a National League East, a National League West, and you won your division. Or you went home.
The Braves were in the National League West. Milwaukee was in the American League East. I remember. I was 11 in 1985.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Detroit in the American League East as well. Anyway, and by the way, Stacey, just as a side note, you talk about only the division winners making the team. Well, I'm talking 1985. Well, how about 1984 when that Detroit team starts 35-5? So imagine 40 games into the season, it's already over. Like that was the worst ever. That was the worst ever. But anyway, that's for a throwback Tigers. Okay. But yeah, so it comes down. Lloyd Mosby in the first game of the series, I think it was the 8th inning. It was late in the game. Drops a routine fly ball. Yankees would score a couple runs, take the lead. Yankees win that first game. We know the Jays won the second game. Here's the Toronto Sun is the local paper around here. Here's the We Did It. If I can get there's Willie Upshaw with Damaso Garcia and Doyle Alexander hugging. It's the first time the Jays made the playoffs.
I remember all those guys.
Oh wow, beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the very next day is the last game of the season. It's now insignificant. I'm in attendance as a young boy there. My mom and dad take me to the game. It's Phil Niekro, the man they called Nuxie, on the mound. He would end up getting his 300th win in that game. But my throwback memory of that game was I'm sitting along the third baseline, so I have a direct view into the Yankees' first base dugout. And all of a sudden, in the bottom of the 9th inning, Billy Martin sneakily comes up and starts talking to the first base umpire. They get the crew chief involved, the second base umpire as well. And you'll know full well, Stacey, New York Yankee fan, if Billy Martin is coming out for a conversation with the umpires, you need to faire attention. You need to be watching this. This is about to be must-see TV, right? Like Billy Martin was that much of a character. It's a very calm, cool, and collected conversation. Okay, all right. Come to find out afterwards, what he went out and told the umpires was, listen, Nuxie, again, they call Phil Niekro Nuxie. He says, Nuxie's going for his 300th win here. He's insisting on doing the complete, like he's insisting on coming out for the bottom of the 9th. We're going to have some fun with him. So states just like any ballpark where like Tampa, for example, down the foul lines, that's where the bullpen is. And you've got 2 spots there. You can warm up 2 pitchers. Well, he told the umpires, we're going to have some fun with Nuxie here. We're going to warm up 3 guys. So they just brought out their own plate, put it practically along the right field line, and had 3 guys warming up. And when Niekro saw it over his shoulder and realized there's 3 guys warming up, he had hand gestures for the dugout. Yeah, he had choice words for the dugout, but it was just hilarious. I thought it was a lot of fun for the New York Yankees. Honestly, give them a lot of credit. They were just eliminated. Again, that only the first place team makes the playoffs, so they were just heartbroken mere hours ago, but to have that sense of humor, I really like that. I remember Necro struck out Jeff Burrows, Blue Jays designated hitter, to swinging to end the game, and Burrows just gave him a tip of the helmet right there. 300th win, Stacey. That's punching your ticket to Cooperstown. I mean, that 300th win. That's legit.
I watched that game with my dad.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. And
Yep.
and you know what's so funny, Stacey? I'll finish it off with this. I thought I was doing this gentleman a favor. Okay, so sitting right behind me here was a guy and a girl on a date, and the girl all game is just marveling at how the heck can the Blue Jays not hit that? Like, this knuckleball seems incredible. And the whole game, the guy is telling the girl, because the spin he's generating is mind-blowing. You wouldn't even be able to understand the spin. So the ball's dancing all over the place. And finally, in about the eighth inning, like late in the game, I just turned around, thought I was doing him a favor, and let him know it's actually the exact opposite. There is no spin involved here. That's why it's dancing around like that. And he gave me this look, and I remember as a small child thinking this gentleman was going to be appreciative. I'm getting a pat on the back here. But he gave me a look. Okay, and of course later, as you become an adult, you realize that look was, kid, hey, what the heck? I'm trying to have a date here. Like, I'm trying to be impressive with the
You're
date here.
ruining my
Hey,
chances with her.
pipe
What
it
are you
down.
doing?
Yeah, pipe down. Yeah. My gosh. Yeah, but my gosh. You talk about dealer's choice for Blue Jays Yankees throwback, Stacey. We'll have to get together again because there are so many good ones. There are many good ones. Yeah.
And with our age, we can go back.
Awesome. Well, that's the one good thing, right?
Actually, one quick Blue Jays story that doesn't have to do with the Yankees, but in '93, the Joe Carter home run.
Yeah.
I was at a pool hall with my friends. I was 19 at the time. I'm the only one of my friends paying attention to the game. It's on the TV. I'm watching it. He hits the home run, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm freaking out because I'm just like, I've never seen a walk-off home run to win a World Series. So my friends are like, what's going on? And I had to explain every single detail to them because they had no idea like what was going on. And when I explained it and explained they were like, oh, okay, that's pretty significant. I'm like, nice. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, man, I've already done a lot of different content this season on Locked On Blue Jays from that because the Blue Jays just had a series with Philly, right? So that sort of came up. Yeah. Stacey, you know the most. See, as a baseball head, I think you'll appreciate this. The most incredible thing about that Joe Carter home run against Mitch Williams. I mean, that entire inning. We deep dived that inning last week on Throwback Thursday. Actually, it was because it was Jays and Phillies. That entire ninth inning is the most incredible inning of baseball I've ever seen. The whole thing is amazing. But even that Joe Carter home run, Stace, it's a fastball for ball one, a fastball for ball two. Mitch Williams pumps in a fastball 2-1. Now on the 2-1 pitch, Williams throws a slider. It's at Joe Carter's back foot. He swings flat-footed and misses. He's totally fooled by the pitch.
Yeah. So
much so that he steps out of the box. You can see his wheels turning. Then the camera flashes to Mitch Williams, right close up of his face, and he shakes off Darren Daulton. Rest in peace, the Phillies catcher Darren Daulton. He shakes him off and then gets the pitch he wanted, and Joe Carter does the rest of his history. Stacey, imagine what would have happened if he had thrown the pitch that Daulton had called. I think about that all the time. If I'm thinking about that all the time, poor Mitch Williams. This must be on his mind 24/7. But Stacey, who knows what would have happened in base? Remember, the Jays are down in that game. They're down. So that could have gone to Game 7 if that doesn't happen. Who's Stacey if he doesn't shake off that sign?
Oof. I mean, we're coming up on 30 years now since that happened, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, incredible. Coming up on Locked On Blue Jays, would you believe that Throwback Thursday today is going to feature an American, yes, our friends from the Locked On Yankees podcast, waxing poetically about the original, are you ready for this? Yeah, not the remake, the original, the one from the 80s, Degrassi Junior High, a first for Locked On Blue Jays podcast, I'll tell you that. Now, speaking of first, I did want to talk about one of our new sponsors first, So Rare. Revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Now, unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. So Rare MLB game weeks happen twice weekly and span a 3 or 4 day cycle. At the end of the game week, So Rare MLB managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards win a variety of rewards, which can include So Rare scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, VIP experiences like meeting MLB stars. Wow. Prizes may vary depending on the competition. head to sorare.com/locked-on. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/locked-on to start playing today. Well, Stace, this was such a blast. Where can the Blue Jay fans who begrudgingly cheer for the Yankees as well, where can they follow your work?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Stay Scotts. You can watch Locked On Yankees because yes, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm a realistic Yankee fan. I'm not a bombastic Yankees fan as much as they want me to be one. They want me to be crazy and out of control, but I'm not. I don't look at the world through pinstripe glasses. I call them out for things, and I even have Red Sox fans who are subscribed and Astros fans who are subscribed to the show.
Wow.
So yeah, and this was before Steve joined on. I got messages from people like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm a Red Sox fan and I listen to Locked On Yankees." So, it's fun doing this. I grew up watching baseball because of my father. He was born in the Bronx. He used to go to the stadium in the 40s and 50s as a kid.
Wow.
And it's kind of in my blood. And the fact that I get paid to talk about the Yankees and I also write about baseball for Locked On as well. So it's just amazing that this is all happening. It's incredible. And one more thing before we go, because I have to show this off for your Jays fan base, because I think they'll appreciate this as an American, me wearing this. But
okay, what do we got here? Goodness, show that. Can we? Because people aren't going to believe they just saw that correctly. So those of you listening to the podcast, Stacy has somehow shown us that she is wearing a Degrassi Junior High T-shirt, and yes, your mind goes right to, oh, cool. I like the remake of that. Nope, the one from the '80s, the original from the '80s.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So Stacy, we can't just end on that now, Stacy. Of course, there's follow-up questions. My gosh, what an epic shirt! Holy moly! So Stacy, What was your life like before Spike got pregnant and then after the bombshell of Spike getting pregnant?
Yeah, that was a big deal. I think it was a bigger deal for Canadians because they showed those episodes in health class during school.
Gosh.
Like, in America, people knew about Degrassi, but it wasn't as popular as it was in Canada, obviously, because it was a Canadian show. But Degrassi came down here in fall of '87 when I was starting grade 8, as you guys say.
Right.
So I was right in line with how old they all were. So it was cool for me to see normal looking kids who weren't Hollywood looking kids in a show where they dealt with real issues that we all deal with. Because, there were some issues that happened on Degrassi that happened in my high school, in my junior high. And, it was just very relatable. And I loved junior high. I loved high. I watched The Next Generation. It was just, I love the accents,
Oh my gosh. Wow. On a Throwback Thursday, having a throwback shirt like this, you've just taken things to the next level here. Much appreciated. That was awesome.
You're welcome. I love Degrassi, and I'm planning on going up to Toronto. I'm going to say it like a native and not say the second T. And I'm planning on going up there at some point and visiting every Degrassi spot that I have marked on Google Maps, including Vincent Massey School, which was where junior high was shot in Etobicoke. So, yeah.
I've had my mind blown in crossover episodes a few times. Not like this. Not like this. I cannot believe the references you're bringing right now. My goodness. Wow. Stacy, thank you so much for your time and for joining us today.
You're welcome. It was fun.
That'll do it for this week's Throwback Thursday. Geez, I thank you for joining me, but really, I hope you had as much fun today as I did. Man, I enjoyed some of those throwback stories. How about the ending with Degrassi Junior High, like the original one from the '80s? Unprecedented and Locked On Blue Jays podcast history. My goodness, but I had a lot of fun. Hope you did too. If you're a fantasy baseball fan like myself, keep it locked on the Locked On Podcast Network and tune into Locked On Fantasy Baseball.